This, I wanted to preview the Oklahoma football team. And I wanted to start with this statement. I think the Oklahoma Sooners are going to win the Big 12 conference this year. Baylor's another popular pick, but there's a lot of reasons why I like Oklahoma this year. First off, the defense wasn't really as good as I thought it was, and I really thought this program had really taken a step forward, improving the defense. But when I watched their defense, there was some, Oklahoma State, Winfrey specifically, the D tackle, but they had several offside penalties. DBs were, the tackling was iffy. The DBs, were up and down in coverage all season long. But, I think Brent Venables comes in. He's a former defensive coordinator at Oklahoma. And then the defensive coordinator most recently for Clemson on the, the teams that have been so great at Clemson, including the 2018 national title team. So, Venables comes in. They're going to play a lot more fundamentally sound. I know he's going to clean up the tackling, and I know he's going to maximize the talent on the defensive side of the ball, even though, I look at their starters, and I don't really get super excited about the guys they return, but there is some talent. I like the secondary. Woody Washington's a guy that stands out. 2 interceptions in the Oklahoma State game. Had an interception. Or no, he had the 2 in the Oklahoma State game. Billy Bowman, Trey Morrison is a guy that comes over from North Carolina. Key Lawrence. Those are some names to watch in the secondary. Deshaun White returns at linebacker. David Agwebu. I thought Agwebu was going to play a little bit better than he did last year, but he's a big physical run stopper. Deshaun White, pretty solid football player. Losing a guy like Brian Asamoah hurts a lot, but Agwebu, White should be pretty solid. The defensive line, a bit of a question mark. Losing Nick Bonito. Nick Bonito was the the key edge rusher, but they do return a guy, Jalen Redmond, who's pretty impressive, 6'3". Where do they have him listed? 6'3", 284, and he moves a lot better. Moves very well for a guy that big. Has some pretty good bend for a guy that's 284 pounds, and I like his ability to get off of blocks and rush the passer. So Jalen Redmond, number 31, will be a guy to watch. Javante Barnes is a running back that comes in, with a lot of hype. DeMarco Murray, now the running backs coach for the Sooners, recruited Javante Barnes hard. He comes in with a lot of hype. Played very well in the spring game. You look at the receiving corps, it's pretty solid. Marvin Mims is getting a lot of hype as a top 10, top 5 receiver. I don't see top 5 receiver, but he's a guy that was, super productive out the slot, can create some big plays and whatnot. But, number 17, Marvin Mims, the guy to watch for. Theo Weiss, a receiver, is pretty good. The offensive line wasn't as great as it has been, but they do, have some experience. They get a transfer from Cal over to that side of the ball. But the big news on offense is to transfer Dylan Gabriel at quarterback. I love Dylan Gabriel. Dude, outstanding football player. Can just shred, UCF is a guy, gunslinger. That term, I don't use that term often, but I think that's a term that can fit with Dylan Gabriel. But when I think gunslinger, I think sloppy play, and I do not think of sloppy play when I watch Dylan Gabriel. He's a guy that, can surgically pick apart defenses. It's outstanding, very good to elite, short area, mid-range accuracy. I see a lot of Tua Tagovailoa, but I think he could be even better than Tua. Honestly, this is a guy that was, super productive at UCF. He's a gamer, competes, plays hard. I think he's going to come in and, bring an edge and bring that leadership to Oklahoma. And I think his offense is going to get him over the top. Even if they do stumble in one game this year, I think Dylan Gabriel's play will be outstanding throughout the course of the season and in big games to get him over the top. So, for those number of reasons, the first thing, Venables, I think, cleans up some of the mistakes on defense and maximizes, some of the talent they have, with, Dylan Gabriel transferring in, Javante Barnes at running back. I think with those, And also they got Eric Gray too, who's a former transfer from Tennessee, who was pretty solid. I think with all that considered, you got to like Oklahoma's odds to win the Big 12 this year, and I'm going to pick them to win the Big 12, even over the Baylor Bears, who are getting a lot of hype as far as winning the league goes. But Oklahoma, Oklahoma's been as consistent of a program as there is, and really. Every year they're more talented than pretty much everyone they play. Last year, they stumble. They lose to Oklahoma State, but at that point there was a lot of distractions around the program. Players said they were distracted about the Lincoln Riley situation. Was he leaving? Was he staying? I think this year this team is a lot more focused. It's a lot more hungry. They're looking to make a statement. Combine that with Gabriel's leadership, and you got a team that if I'm wrong here, I'm sorry, but I think the over-under is 8.5. I would, over a heartbeat, I would pick. It's kind of changed that some of these over and unders keep moving around. I know USC's was, I think it opened at 8.5. Now it's up to 9, I believe. So don't quote me on that, but I believe, honestly, whatever it is, even if it's 9, give me 9.5, 10. I'll take the over on the Sooners. Go ahead and cash that bet on the over on Oklahoma. So that's what I wanted to touch on with Oklahoma. I think they win the Big 12 with the combination of things I just stated.